What is all this? These are scraps of alcohol ink papers that I have been hoarding for a long time. In the event that I could use them for something, today might just be that day. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Friday, that means you're gonna get a new video. Today's video is going to look a little bit different. If you have been on my channel for a little while, you will have known that alcohol inks is also something that I like to work with. If you are new to the channel, hi, welcome. I am so glad that you found me, and I hope you will stick around a little bit because today might just be an interesting one. I was working on a watercolor painting and I thought maybe I could use up some of these scraps and maybe do a collage on top of it. But then as I was ripping the papers, something else came to my mind, and now I can't get it out of my head, and you get to watch this process as it unfolds because I literally just started. This is a scrap paper. On the back side, I painted something that I didn't like. So we're gonna make use of this. As I was putting down these papers, they reminded me of those linear paintings that I have done in the past, and I'll pop some pictures of them in this video. And I thought to myself, what if I use those to create sections? And then hopefully we can also maybe use a little bit of watercolor or doodles. These papers that I have been using are photo papers. I use the backside of the photo paper because it works very nicely with the alcohol inks. The backside of the paper is shiny. This is usually where you would print your photos on. So I'm using the backside, but the shiny side doesn't quite work when I want to glue it down. It's too slick. So unfortunately, I have to peel the back off, which is not too bad of a process because it comes off fairly easily. The good thing about using photo paper is I can rip it just like regular paper. You can't do that with Yupo paper. The photo paper works really well for this. And I've already started trying some things out, and I immediately liked what it looked like. So we're just gonna continue with this process. Now, luckily I have a bunch of these papers and they're all in fun colors, and I hope to be able to get some really nice ones. Because they're scraps, I obviously used the best parts up already, but I think we're gonna be okay. I think there's still gonna be quite a bit of variety and interest in those bits and pieces. Now I'm gonna have to use some of the finer ones, but the ones that have a little bit more interest on them, I will try and keep big. I'm not just gonna rip them, I'm also gonna cut some because I like how the straight edges give contrast to the ripped parts. So without further ado, let's just get into this. So here I am taking off the back side, which is really the front of the photo paper, off so that it is easier to glue everything down. After I am done putting down the alcohol inks, I let it dry, and then I use a fixative spray to make the colors stay on the paper permanently. And then I dry them again, and after that is done, I will go ahead and use these backgrounds for magnets, or I use these for little pins. I've used them for earrings and things like that. I like having the backside of the paper on for that. It just makes the paper a little bit more sturdy. And that is why the scraps still have the backside on. Otherwise, I would have used the sheet and taken the backside off, the whole sheet, and then I wouldn't have to do that process now. Ripping these longer pieces was a little bit tedious and was starting to hurt my fingers after a while. So it is nice to be able to also incorporate some cut out pieces so that I can give my hands a break in between. Also, I just want you guys to keep in mind that this is really a practice piece, and so you will see me using the Elmer's glue still. I have since purchased a different glue stick. I follow a few collage artists on YouTube, and they all use Uhu glue, which is acid free, and so if they think it's okay to use, then it's certainly going to be okay for me. I am a crafty kind of person. I like working hands on, and so this is right up my alley. I really enjoyed the process of figuring out what kind of papers to use, how to place them, where to place them, and just that whole process was very therapeutic for me. The white background works, but I kind of want to try this again with a more colorful background and see how that would look. Because this is just a practice piece, I am also kind of not paying too much attention to how things land on the page. It is purely for me to figure out, is this something that I could incorporate in the future, or is this just something that I can do while I'm trying to figure out in which direction I want to go in the future. I can see the allure of working with mixed media. I think it breaks up the workflow a little bit, and also at the same time adds texture and dimension to your piece. I just haven't really had a time to really sit down and play. And when you approach something like that, you really need time to play around. This took a long time, just ripping the papers, trying to find the best papers. Obviously, I still had to take the backings off of most of them, and that took time as well. But the whole process just takes so much longer than, let's say, just painting a watercolor painting that I have done in the past. So I just have to really allow myself that time, and that might be a little bit more challenging for me. It also can get very messy very quickly, because not only am I ripping the papers and have waste laying around, I have the backings that are coming off, I have colors that don't work. So the amount of stuff that is already on my desk from previous projects that I had going on, and then adding all of these papers on top of it was a little overwhelming. Did I peel off the backing of all of those circles individually? Yes. Yes, I did. Call me crazy, but I didn't mind it. I noticed with the other piece that I did a while ago that the circles were sticking up just a little bit too much, and if I want to do this in the future, I would be worried that they would, snatch on something and then fall off. And like I mentioned, the photo paper front is very slick, and so applying the glue is a little bit harder than when you peel it off. I could have probably just punched out a few more circles, but the whole point of doing this exercise is using up what I have. And so that is what I decided. It's kind of therapeutic to go through these little treasures and try and finding the correct shade and just doing it that way. But I can definitely see myself in the future just working with the already peeled pieces and punching out new circles. I am not always this patient, and I can see where you definitely need to be in the mood to do something like this. But last week was a little bit of a hectic one for me, and so I didn't mind doing it. It kind of worked really well for me trying to process what the week had in store for me. And so I almost welcomed that mindless work of peeling the backings off and trying to find just the right thing, the right shape and color. So I can definitely see where this process can be more appealing than other times. I don't ever want to feel like I am putting pressure on myself to create something. I feel like that would take the joy out of creating. And in a lot of ways, making these videos helps me just to do whatever I feel like doing in the moment. And I know a lot of you come to my channel because you found me through the doodling videos that I have been doing. But a lot of you are also very excited to see me explore more stuff. And I'm super grateful for that, because it is because of you that this channel is where it is and keeps growing. So of course I want to make sure that you can watch something that you're interested in, but I'm also really grateful that you all let me explore and are excited to come back each week to see what else I have been up to. So shout out to all of you for keeping me on my toes and keeping me busy and coming back on a weekly basis to watch me create. Working like this also makes me think about all of those unused watercolor backgrounds that I have that I could possibly use to do collages with. So it really doesn't matter what kind of paper you have laying around. You could even use wrapping paper or tissue paper or what have you. So don't think like you have to create alcohol ink backgrounds just for this. You can obviously use a lot of different mediums. I'm always so curious why certain things show up in my life when they do. I am amazed at how things pop up in my life when they do. Why did neurographic art show up in my life when it did? And how did I transition from that to what I then was doing this past year? And how is it that I am all of a sudden curious about this style? I am just fascinated by how this all comes together. And maybe it's because up until this point, I haven't really been allowing myself to sit down and explore. I am very much a go, go, go person. In my daily life, there's always something that I am doing. And I never really allowed myself to sit down and explore all different kinds of things. And I just love all of that. And I feel very fortunate that I am in a position that I can do that. And I understand that not everybody obviously has that luxury. And yes, it is a luxury to be able to just sit and create. Because I know a lot of you have to go out and do your regular job, and you come home to your families and you have to take care of them or take care of each other. Having responsibilities in life that you have to tend to, and allowing yourself to carve precious time out of your life to sit down and be creative is not always very easy. I decided I wanted to bling it up a little bit more, so I'm using the Schminke Gold watercolor to add just a little bit more gold into the piece. And then I decided to also add just a few doodles here and there, just to kind of tie it in with what I usually do, and also fill in some of those white spaces a little bit more. I was a little worried that it would become too busy because it's already super busy, but I kind of like it. It breaks it up. I wish I had left just a little bit more white space to add more doodles or a little bit bolder doodles, but seeing that this is a practice piece, I am sure I can take what I've learned from this and allow for more changes. So I'm really excited to see what else I can come up with in the future. All right, folks, this is it for today. Here is a view of the aftermath, but don't worry, I kept going. I was really in the zone, so cleanup has to wait a little bit. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me in this adventure, and I will see you next week with a new video.